My name is Mel Briggs. I'm a Wadi Wadi Dharawal Gumbaynyi descendant, and I live down on the southeast coast of New South Wales. Some people call it Ewan Country. And I'm a midwife, and I work at Waminda, and I have two beautiful babies. And so today, Jame and I are just going to have a yarn and talk about the amazing work that Jame does. And then, if anyone has any questions, we will put up something maybe on Instagram later just to have some feedback, or even on Twitter on the post. So please, provide any feedback to us or have a yarn. So thanks.
Kinagay nyanundi bija Jame, naya gumbengia nyami, naya naingi gagala, Yellow Rock Yorunga Nyanundi Jagun. Hi, my name is Jame. I am a Gumbengia woman and I live at the ocean. Yellow Rock Yorunga is my homelands. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we gather on Aboriginal land, and I am proud to live on country and pay my deepest respects to my Gumbengia ancestors and elders, from where my pride, strength and connections come from. I would also like to extend my respects to all Aboriginal people that are watching.
Oh God, you're amazing. Thank you, my sister. So this is going to be uploaded onto Twitter for Indigenous X.
Yeah.
So I reckon, just tell us a bit about yourself or your journey and your amazing Earth Blended stuff, your business and why you do it. Or, let's just have a yarn about that, hey?
I am a mum to 4 children. I had my first when I was 20, and I had my last 9 months ago. And I started my business, Earth Jinda, 4 years ago. I want to say 4 years ago, and I feel like every year I'm changing and shopping, because I guess I'm changing, so the business changes with me. But yeah, I guess I got into the space because I have suffered lots of anxiety and mental health issues most of my life. And a lot of it does connect back to, being away from country. I haven't always lived on country. So I guess just a part of my healing journey is where my business began. And, having children and becoming a mum, it sort of evolved into a lot around women-centered sort of care. And then as I continued to have other children, really focusing in on the pregnancy and birth space. Because, it's something obviously very near and dear to me, being a mother. And having 4 kids, and somewhere feeling like I got lost in that system. Now, where I'm at sort of in life, the business is sort of gone through a bit of a change. I'm now wholesaling the stuff that I make, so that I'm not making orders all the time, so that I can be more focused with my kids, because they are now at home homeschooling with me as well. Sort of unschooling, I guess. We're just sort of doing life together, getting to know ourselves, our bodies, and all the things I feel like I really don't even know as a 30-year-old woman. I feel really disconnected from my own body. I guess just the way that we grow up, we don't learn anywhere near enough about our bodies and who we are. So I guess we're all just sort of learning together at the moment. And I am really passionate to put some of that extra time that I'll now have into some workshops and things that I'm really passionate about, and that Mel has given me a big push to step into a space there. So I had the Happy Boxes project is an amazing project. It is a non-for-profit organisation that sends happy boxes and items and things to Aboriginal women out in community that need it. And we've just opened up a space in Taormina. And they have really happily allowed me to also, in 2022, use that space to provide some support and workshops for our local community here. So I'm really hoping to do some women's circles and things for Aboriginal mothers, postpartum mums, for pregnancy, something that sort of aligns for me where I'm at with a baby and still wanting to do that work.
So living in the moment and, you know, really feeling what's going on in your life and being able to share.
Yeah, well, yeah, look, there's so many things that I want to do in this space, you know what I mean? Like, I've been through it all and I want to make change so badly, but I also need to honour that I have young children and that needs to work around us as well.
Absolutely.
I have that time and I don't need to do it all right now, nor can I do it all right now.
Yeah. So just thinking about one of your experiences, what aspect of your maternity care do you think could improve for all of our like, what do you think is maternity care where you are and you're up Kumbani way? So tell me a bit about what maternity care is there and what do you think needs to be added in or changed? Or it's a big question. Probably takes more than 10 minutes to answer, but you know, what do you?
I think a lot needs to change. I did have my first 2 boys off country down on direct country. And I will say that the experience from the 2 boys that I had off country to the 2 children that I had on country was different in itself. So I think that in itself, you know, being on country is it was such a big difference for me, regardless to the care that I was provided, just me within myself, and regardless of where I was getting my care or how I birthed, you know, being on country was such a healing process. So I think even that in itself is one thing. But speaking of being up here on Waminda country and the care for the women going through the hospital system, I think it's, you know, the women that work in the services, I'm not like, they're great. I haven't had any bad experience in such of like, you know, midwives or any of that, but there is no cultural connection. It is not a culturally safe environment for women birthing. I did not have, through my whole entire pregnancy, just going off my last pregnancy, I was really sick. I was struggling really badly with my mental health. And as I'm sure, I'm not sure, but, you know, up here we have the AMS program where they connect you with the Aboriginal midwives, but it's up here, there is no Aboriginal midwife, so it's a non-Indigenous woman in the role. And I vividly remember calling her and being like, I'm struggling, like I'm depressed, I need help, I'm really sick. And there was just nothing, there wasn't that continuity of care. And although she was the one person that I always went to, she didn't know me, the next person that she was dealing with. You know, I'm ringing her and telling her that I'm severely depressed, suicidal, depression in my early stages of pregnancy, and she's like, oh, I've actually lost all of your information to refer you to a psychologist, sorry. Like, you know, she didn't know me as the next person, and I just totally sunk into a hole and got lost in the whole entire system. I found myself, you know, calling around, crying, trying to see what was available to me, and even that in itself was so difficult because I didn't know where to go to. The lack of resources, of me knowing where I could turn to or who could help me was so minimal. And in the end, I ended up connecting with a midwife up at Coffs Harbour Base Hospital, which is where I would have had to go anyways because I was deemed in the high risk category. So my local hospital here actually wouldn't accept me, which is a massive barrier in itself. Then I have to travel an hour to see services, see anybody. So yeah, anyways, I did speak to a midwife in Coffs and she was so lovely. She was not Indigenous, but she could tell that I was really struggling with that continuity of care and someone actually giving me the time of the day and making me feel seen and heard as an individual woman and not one of many women in the system. So I stayed with her and I would travel, you know, as often as I needed to up to see her because that's really what I wanted. And yeah, there wasn't anyone identified in the role because that was the first thing that I asked for, to want to create that culturally safe space. But there wasn't, so I just took the next best thing on somebody that was going to actually see me as an individual person.
So you felt heard, like you felt like she heard you, she saw you.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I felt comfortable enough to speak up and I want this Aboriginal person here, or, you know, a family member, or I need this or I need that. And she stopped she really heard that she needed to listen to me with what I wanted. So that was a great experience, and I was really lucky to have that. But like I said, there is no one there. They do have Aboriginal women in, like, I think, in a support role, but there's a lack of communication between the midwives and that role, because I never met that person. And the Aboriginal woman that's in the support role for maternity in Maxfield, our local hospital, I never met her until I was in my postpartum, and the non-Indigenous woman in the midwifery role only brought her out to meet me once, and that's her job, to bring her every visit. Actually, met her in my pregnancy, but I only met her once after I'd had my baby, and it was by chance that she had to be with her, and she was like, "Oh, why haven't I met you?" And I'm like, "You tell me. I'd love to know."
And that's, I suppose, that's the goal, that role in that space. You know, non-Indigenous midwives working in a government Aboriginal service, they need to have that Aboriginal health worker alongside them, so to ensure that they are working culturally in a safe way.
It's not culturally safe if there isn't an Aboriginal woman present, and I guess my biggest thing, I'm like, we need our people in the space, and it's constantly being thrown out there that, but there is no Aboriginal midwives. Like, for one, there is, and two, if there's not, then you, like, say, tell me to invite one of my family members over something, because it's not culturally safe space if you don't have another Aboriginal person present. Like, I can't fathom it, how this person is getting paid in this role to provide cultural safety that they cannot provide.
Yeah, so definitely services need to be redesigned, because they're not working, and, you know, we need to have more Aboriginal midwives, absolutely. And, you know, there needs to be a pathway for our people to, you know, go from being an Aboriginal health worker to become an Aboriginal midwife. Like, there needs to be a clear path, and you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there wanting this thing. So, talking about postpartum, what do you think, like, thinking about our culture and our practices and things like that, like, what do you think those sorts of services could make sure that they could do? Like, you know, what could they do to improve postpartum services for our people?
I think it goes back to that continuity of care again. And I mean, if they're lacking while you're pregnant, they're certainly lacking in the postpartum space. Like I said, I had one visit, the midwife that was coming out there, non-Indigenous midwife, like, she was just there to weigh my baby. There's no women-centered care. It's not focused around me. Like, you know, it's all like, let me make sure that your baby's weighing okay, and I'll let you know if you need to go back to hospital to check on your baby. It's all about, you know, that disconnect between mother and child. Like, it's, you know, it's putting you in that system and that institutionalized of, like, I'm really only here to make sure your baby's okay, not you who've just pushed this baby out and facing tears and your body changes. There's nothing. There's absolutely no women-centered care, no, you know, mother or child bonding. It's that disconnect and making women feel so insecure about them and their connection, and knowing if their baby is okay. You know what I mean? Like, I can't fathom the constant weighing or the constant telling the parents that they're not doing right because their children aren't fitting on this scale that they've provided. Blows my mind. It's totally wrong, isn't it? It's like, it's that judgment and blame, and, you know, if you're not doing the right thing, you're a terrible mum. Like, we get it all the time and forever. So, but is there not as well in postpartum care and, like, coming to check on a baby? Because you checking on my baby isn't postpartum care. Postpartum care is for me. Postpartum care is for the woman, not for the baby. Look, I'm not saying that the baby, you know, I get it, but, like, postpartum is, I'm in postpartum, the baby's not in postpartum. No, that's exactly right. That's right. And, you know, when we leave hospital as a new mother, we're given this beautiful blue book for the baby, and what does the mum get? Nothing. 6 weeks with a midwife. That's, you know, it's not okay. We need to improve postpartum services, especially for mums who have suffered with some mental illness in their pregnancy, or, you know, have a history of it.
it's really crucial. Hey.
And first time I don't even know if they're going to experience that. You know what I mean? Like, it is so important. And there's nothing about the foods that we can eat, or we should eat that can help our healing. There's nothing about how to really take care of ourselves. TMI, but I had a really bad tear and I was having to go to ED and leave my baby at home. I'm crying because I'm being away from my newborn baby that I don't have a hospital to get sick, but can't get into a doctor because we live rurally. So I have to sit in ED to potentially be seen by a man.
Yeah.
It's business. Like, it's so backwards. There is no care, physically or emotionally provided for women, period, let alone any cultural support for a woman. That's just like, they're not even on par with the basic necessities, let alone being able to provide that support for a woman. And again, it needs to be provided by community, not by a non-Indigenous woman.
No, that's right. So do you think with your birth blended products and your birth work that you do you think we could build on something like that, like the work you do with that?
So I do have like birthing products, which Mel has, used before with some of my clients. And I think they're great. Like, I love them, and I think, that they're just tools to be able to support that work. They're not doing the work, they're just tools to support in that space. Some of the things that, it's bringing that culture and bringing, a different way of support in that space that can potentially, provide support so that there's that lower chance of intervention and things like that. So I think that's awesome. But I also think, that, like having our women in that space and having those yarns, I think we shared in the story before, something as simple as, an Aboriginal mother being able to touch her daughter on the shoulder and the strength that that provides. Like, I think these are the things that we need to build on, and we need to provide our community with the self-determination to be in that space. I think that's really the big thing that's missing here, is that they, we don't have that. Like you said, pathways, making it easier for our people to access and be within this space so that we can work together and build on that, like the things that you're doing at Waminda, like the birthing on country facilities that can bring the community together. Community and culture led is how pregnancy, birth and postpartum should be to me. And it needs to be women-centered care. Absolutely.
Sis, I'm telling you, like, Waminda is, amazing when it comes to that wraparound care. Like, I think about your pregnancy experience with, with everything. And I think if we had services, a Aboriginal women's led service like Waminda across the country, our outcomes would be so much better in terms of, maternity and natal outcomes. And, and it's also about, capacity building within the staff and the well-being of staff, and Waminda are really amazing at doing that. And I think we need to be able to look at, like, when we provide maternity services, we're able to, as a midwife or an Aboriginal midwife, because it's very different to a midwife, we're able to link up with our sister programs like Dead or Deadly and case management and NABU, those support services with travelers and drug and alcohol people. Like, it's such a beautiful wraparound holistic wellness model of care that it's so grounding, and I feel so supported in the role. And I think that's why I'm so lucky to be able to sit here and talk to you about it, because I'm supported by an amazing team, and it's led by Aboriginal women. So that's why we need to push for this to happen even more, especially in Aboriginal maternity service, because it just has to be that way. We know what we need, and we can't be told what we need anymore, because we already know. Like, you're a beautiful, strong woman up there. Services should be reaching out to you. They should be saying, "What do we do, Jame? How can we improve our services?" Like, that's what needs to happen. Yes. And Aboriginal community controlled health organisations need to be forefront leading this work. Business, you know. But I'm just looking at, I have all your beautiful affirmations on my wall, positive affirmations, and because like they're just pretty deadly. Like, look at them, you know.
Something as simple as that, as having representation. You know, how many affirmations are there for women? You buy a pack of birthing affirmations because they're pretty, you know, I guess universal these days. But there's no representation in there, and it's that connectedness and representation that matters, you know, for our people.
It's this, like, there's a couple in here that I love. Like, actually, I love them all, just saying. But, you know, like birthing on Aboriginal land. Yes, you are birthing on Aboriginal land, and that just gives you an amazing strength, eh? Like, I just think, yes, it gives me goosebumps just knowing that that's what we're doing. We're acknowledging our ancestors, and we're paying, you know, we're doing what we're meant to be doing. So, you know, it's just, I love it. Love it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you know, not all women are in a position to birth on country, and it's been like they at the, like, you know, connecting them back to that culture and reminding them who they are, where they are, no matter where they are, they're here, they're on Aboriginal, they're birthing their Aboriginal baby on Aboriginal land, and it's so simple, but something so strong in being able to say that and being able to know that and feel that when you're birthing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my sister, it is time for us to say goodbye.
Thank you so much for having me on. I always love having you.
Thank you for coming. Is there any last things you want to say, or, you know, just share something deadly, because you're just so deadly?
You put me on the spot, but I think, you know, I guess the only thing I would say is that there are probably Aboriginal women listening to this, and you're not alone. Even if you're feeling alone, you know, reach out to me, to Mel, anyone. Like, if you are in a position and you feel unsupported and you don't have facilities like Waminda in your area, reach out to us. Like, Mel honestly was my sounding ground and my connection through my pregnancy. I really struggled. I didn't have the support services there, but she supported me, you know, from a distance as much as she possibly could. And I know you know, we're happy to be here and be a sounding ground for anyone that needs it. So yeah, if you're watching and you need support, like, and you don't have it, message us, either of us.
Thank you, my sister.